Another week.
Ooh.
We're
Wow,
back.
that's quite an intro. Morning, Johnny. How you doing, sir?
Johnny's back. Let me put these on stage. There you go. Yay! Fire it up.
Yeah.
Uh,
What do you think of our
I
new intro, Johnny?
I reduced the volume a little bit because I had a couple of comments where it's like, I don't know what it is, my video editing software, whatever. It sounds fine to me, and then when I load it up and whatever, the volume seems mid range, but then compared to the podcast, it's like the intro's like rah rah yeah, it's so awesome, and so
Hmm.
people adjust their volume right, and then we come on, it's like we're quieter. So then you
Whoops.
turn it up. So then when the video when we're done and we wrap it up, it's like rah, and
Blow
so
everybody's eardrums out.
and maybe my ads are loud too. I don't know, but you ever be like if you're laying kind of half sleeping listening to a podcast, and then they've got either an ad or their outro, and it's like, what? You're going, what just happened?
I'm awake. Yeah. So what happened? Is Bitcoin still there?
Let's see. We are at. Let me check Clark Moody, real quick. We are at block height 927,752.
Hmm. Not
One
bad.
one Bitcoin will get you 90,110 non-federal, non-reserve promissory notes, or
Hmm.
about 21.4 ounces of gold.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's about what it's been all week, though. Well, it went up and it went down, and now it's kind of just what it is.
Yeah, it looks kind of flatlined on the weekly chart, so I don't know. We'll
90,
see. Are we in a bear market or a weird bull market?
I'm gonna say so. Okay, I'm just reading the smell in the air in Orange World, but I still feel weirdly bullish. I mean, the money printer got warmed up again a little bit. Interest rates drop a little bit. 40 billion kind of just flowing quickly. That's not nothing. So, and they can't not do more. So TikTok next block. Bitcoin is still running. I think that 2026 is going to be kind of an interesting, in a good way, year. I don't know.
I don't know. When's the next halving? 27?
Oh, it's not for
Yeah,
over a
28.
year.
March 28. Yeah, so I don't know, man. All signs point to bear market, best I can tell, but what do I know?
Well, it's hard
It's
to
all tea
know
leaves.
how many wallets how many old wallets have yet to divest themselves of their well-deserved fiat wealth, I suppose, or material wealth, whatever they want to have. But I mean, I guess it's inevitable that the TradFi and the treasury companies are going to be gobbling it up. What is it? So Saylor was at J.P. Morgan this week, yesterday, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. More and more banks are getting into it. Uh, more and more investing companies are like, yeah, okay. Or we changed our mind. I just think it's kind of one after the other. It's like, yeah, we're not against it now. And Jamie Dimon can still be stubborn, but to what end? I
Yeah.
don't know.
I don't know either, man. It'd be interesting to see what happens. If if the 4-year cycle theory holds up, then we're in a bear market. If the 4-year model is now broken, then we're in some uncharted territory and nobody knows what's coming next. So, I mean, technically, no one knows what's coming next anyway, but, the past is no predictor of future performance kind of thing. But the past is pretty clear on what Bitcoin does. And right now, it says Bitcoin's in a bear market. So,
Well, I
I don't
think
know.
we're getting to a point where the issuance and the halving is just less of a dominant effect, and what's more of a potentially dominant effect is TradFi adoption and treasury companies. Um,
Yeah, well, that's a theory, I mean, but
cycles are over. I believe cycles are over. It's
yeah,
just new broken models, broke all model, new non cycles.
maybe. Or maybe it's just the same. It's going to be the exact same thing as it always is. I don't know, man. It's sort of curious. Do you know we met Ben Cohen at Benjamin Cohen,
Yeah.
Cowen at Bitcoin Miami, And he's like, well, this pretty much looks like a bear market to me. And I'm kind of, I mean, he's a bright guy, but he's also sort of a shitcoiner in the background too. But
Well, we didn't launch Naka at 126,000.
what's Naka?
So could be doing worse.
Naka?
But I think Bitcoin's on sale now, and I think
What's Naka?
I mean, I don't know that it's a bottom. It's just that there seems to be support right now. Actually, what does your RSI look like right now? And
what's Naka?
Oh, the David Bailey's his own Bitcoin reserve treasury type of company.
Yeah, I mean, fiat shenanigans. The RSI is firmly below the 50 on the weekly chart. This is not a buying chart. This is a sales chart. Here, I'll show you. Let me show you.
Yeah, I was curious. I mean,
let's see what the
because you can look at history and try to predict the future, but the RSI gives you a sense of.
Well, these two indicators right here, my Tindicator, my specialty Tindicator, this is very clearly a sell signal right there, and that is very clearly a secondary corroboration of that sell signal. Well, as soon as it drops below this 50 line with that, I've actually had the robot backtest this for me. It's a little tricky to get the robot to get it right, but it sort of mirrors my experience with backtesting it. This is a relatively accurate model, and it's a kind of a high value, high signal type model for timing buys and sells. Aside from like little like chops here and there on the weekly chart, like you can pretty much like miss all the big downside and catch all the big upside with very minimal trading if you were of a mind of doing that kind of thing. But that said, this is a very strong indicator that things are not, there are far more sellers than buyers right now. But if you put up more traditional metrics, like there's the 50 EMA, that's the exponential moving average, that's 50 weeks. So it's now below the 1 year average price. It is closing in on the 2 year average price. It's already broken below that once on a candle. And then here is the, what is that, the 4 year average price. So you'll notice when you hit market bottoms, like typically it either hits or dips below the 4 year. Dipping below the 4 year is pretty rare. Like that was COVID, the Rona. Here was that little brief wick down. But typically speaking, once it crosses below the 50, if it doesn't recapture, it usually goes all the way back down to at least the 200. And that's kind of goes back since the 200 starts, right? So, but as you can see, it's always right around the same time. And you get these little hammer drops. This one was particularly bad. Yeah, like that was a really bad bear market. But that was also, you had that confluence of like all those, fraudulent companies collapsing all at once. And, so a lot of fraud got shaken out right here. But it was a great buying opportunity. But I would point out that if you had trusted the Tindicator on that particular buy, you would have been buying this candle right here at about anywhere from 17K. What was that candle? Yeah, anywhere from 17 to 20,000 would have been your purchase price because that's when all the little things fired. And I would say, historically speaking, that would have been a pretty good buy because that's the one I did, except I sort of front ran it a little bit and I got it at 16.8. So
nice.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. With all these banks and treasury companies coming, yada, 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 wallet concentration is still a thing. And the wallets are heavily concentrated amongst a very small cluster of human beings. Probably around 10,000 people have most of the Bitcoin. So there's plenty of natural sellers for a long time.
That's the thing. That this trend of wallet transition could go on for a while. I mean, there's just kind of no telling. There's a lot of just quiet, silent, content, super wealthy people. And so what do they care if they sell 1,000 of their Bitcoin or, I don't know, whatever, 100 Bitcoin, but, and here and there and like steadily, I listened to sailors talk at Mina in Abu Dhabi, and, an interesting summary of all of his various financial offerings. I mean, I don't and I almost try not to really keep track of it all because I don't want my mind going there too hard. I don't trade like that. I don't buy like that. Um, and
Yeah.
and he
Bring
paints.
back the Rona.
I
Come on,
know.
Klaus.
Well, and I mean, we may very well. They're going to need. There needs to be maybe another emergency of some kind at some point. They gotta kickstart something if they want to do something. But getting into territory there. But Sailor is brilliant at explaining it, I guess, as concisely as you can, given the nature of what the stuff is, and just how, business wise, mathematical wise, it just makes sense. Why wouldn't you do this instead of the old game? So, like, duh. So, okay, let's say step one, that's all true. So, money flows more and more into Bitcoin eventually. Another step for me, though, when I think about all that, I'm like, yes, okay. At some point, though, isn't that the death of fiat? Like, why would you ever? So basically, other than like for purchases and temporary things, you're going to have credit. Yes, you'll have, say, credit or operating capital or something liquid momentarily. But otherwise, isn't fiat dead?
No.
No.
No. If fiat dies, you die. How about that?
I'll be on a Bitcoin standard on the beach, right?
Negative. You will be dead just like everybody else. Yeah, we don't get to live in a world without fiat. I know people kind of have that sort of idea in their heads is like, yeah, it'll be some great magical future where governments don't control currency and yada yada yada, but that's not the system we live in. And the idea that we can somehow transition that to a thing where you still have the benefits of sovereign rule without the downsides of sovereign rule is kind of quixotic, because all of this exists because of fiat, not because people are particularly amazing at creating worlds. It exists because of fiat shenanigans and fiat legibility and fiat fixity and fiat resource extraction. So without those things, you don't get all the benefits of fixity and legibility and resource extraction. So I don't, just because people can own property doesn't necessarily negate the role of the state or state issued currency. Does that make sense? That's my new thesis.
Well, and another point I heard recently as well is that a lot of Bitcoiners and people watching the price, it's like waiting for like, where is this retail market that's supposed to be moving in? It's sort of like at a low simmer other than ETFs. It's like the retail market largely is through corporations, ETFs or otherwise, that they're getting into it, not directly into Bitcoin. They're going through their recognized channels. And that in the future, I think a retail direct Bitcoin self-custody market is very potentially just to remain minimal. And in any real retail market will go through fiat channels.
That already is. That's already true right now.
Yeah.
There's, some tiny fraction of a percentage of people that have exposure to Bitcoin hold it in self-custody. Everyone else is through a fiat intermediary, whether it's an exchange or an ETF or a derivative product. So yeah, it's 99% of the retail quote unquote market is a fiat market. So it's, when we're talking about like you should run a node and here's why, that's one of the big reasons why. Because the fiat layer, the monetary layer of Bitcoin is already captured effectively. Like it's already a fiat game. And the mining layer is already a fiat game and it's controlled by 5 entities effectively. And so effectively it's controlled by 5 human beings really, or a board of, maybe 50 human beings all told. So 50 people control all the mining, 2 companies control all the hardware, a handful of exchanges and ETFs control all the monetary layer. The only thing left is the network layer. And right now you got a subcamp trying to break that. So it's just, I don't know. This stuff kind of gives me pause. It makes me a little like, I wish people weren't so apathetic about the amazing technology that we have in Bitcoin. But hopefully they'll wake up soon, because once the network layer is gone, then Bitcoin's just a tulip bulb as far as I'm concerned. So we'll see how it goes. But I'll just keep pounding the drum. Come on, network layer, run a node, run a node, run a node. We'll see if I can encourage anybody to do so.
Well, can the great realignment still happen even if it's largely ETFs and walled garden style Bitcoin, and yet the protocol remains, presuming they don't try to change Bitcoin?
Well, they will, though. I mean, they have to, right? Like, that's, once something can be gate kept, then it becomes a thing that needs to be gate kept, right? And then whoever's keeping the gate has the power over the gate. So it's just like any other resource, whether you're talking about grain in ancient Sumeria or fish in the Pacific Northwest, like a salmon run, or if you're talking about Bitcoin today, whoever can wall it off and then decide who gets access, then they are in control of that resource. And once Bitcoin is a controllable resource, a lot of its properties kind of vanish with it, right? Like, a lot of its remarkable properties vanish with it. If it can be seized, if it can be, that's the biggest thing. If the second Bitcoin can be seized, or you can be forbidden from using it, then its value as a zero trust egalitarian access property gets evaporated. And so it just becomes another fiat instrument at that point. So that's why it's really, really, really important people run nodes. And I don't think people quite grasp the importance of that. Or maybe the few thousand people that do run nodes actually do grasp the importance of that, and everyone else is just kind of like, number go up, yay. And did you see the game last night? I don't know. But it's a frightening prospect to me, because it's such a remarkable invention. It's such a novel thing in the history of mankind. You go, why? How is it that people can't see like how important this is? And yet, I look around and go, people just don't see how important this is. So hopefully my book will shed some light on that. The new book, I hope it becomes popular enough that people will go, oh, Bitcoin good, Bitcoin important. Oh, we should preserve Bitcoin. Like, yeah, we should defend Bitcoin as heartily as we defend our Constitution, kind of thing. But I just don't see people there yet. So I just don't know what it takes to get that message out, and to get people, like, I don't know how to start a revolution, I guess.
Yeah, really. Well, with our society and culture today, revolution is just sort of a fairy tale that, like, okay, but do what? And can I still watch TV?
Well,
I
yeah,
don't know.
that's the Bitcoin revolution. Yes, you can still watch TV. All you have to do is go buy a Start9, plug it in the wall, and run it. And then don't tinker with it, and just leave it alone, and then you're kind of helping. That is the revolution. That's the entirety of the whole input you need to do. I just don't know how to convince people on a mass scale to do that. Like, somehow back in the day, back in the 1700s, some guys kind of wandered around in tricorn hats and convinced hundreds of thousands of people to walk all around the country and go shoot guns at other people. And I can't seem to figure out how to get people to just buy a old computer and put some node software on it. Like, there's something pretty remarkable about going, hey, here's a good idea. I want you to leave your house, go trudge through the mud and snow, risk disease, famine, pain, death, and just grueling conditions for the next 4 or 5 years. That's a good idea. And people going, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm down, dude. Like, how long do I have to walk? Oh, it's only 300 or 400 miles, and you got to carry everything with you. And the guys that are in charge of you, half of them are morons anyway. So good luck. But somehow the easiest revolution in the history of revolutions is like right there. And it literally takes, like, go buy an old refurbished Dell, desktop, and slap some software on it, and just push start and just let it run in the background, and, burn a light bulb's worth of electricity every day. And then you can go watch the game. You can do whatever the hell you want. Like, if we got 1 million people just to do that, revolution on. Like, it's there.
I think people have to feel it, or experience some kind of existential concern. And so back in the day, if you were living, you were somewhat producing, or you had property, you ran a farm, you worked on a farm, you did something. And so, yeah, you felt it every time you bought or sold stuff, and you're like, wait, another tax? Oh, another tax? 2% tax? Oh my goodness, 4% tax. So people like felt it, and it was new. And now it's
but
just
they feel
like,
it now.
no, we just,
like, how could you not? Like people go to the grocery store every week and go, oh, I used to be able to buy a whole cart full of groceries. Now I can only buy a quarter of a cart of groceries. Huh. And yet they're just like, whatever. I still got my Cheetos. You
Yeah,
know,
well,
like,
because the sovereign and media or whatnot, it's a categories of information propaganda on, like, those greedy corporations. And have you not heard about this or that or the other, or like pay attention to the other thing? And so it's like hugely distracted. So reality is like behind this thick curtain, and it's invisible. Meanwhile, there's a lot of distraction. So people just have no idea, like, what is money? Well, it's the dollar. So that's as far as they go.
yeah,
Um,
maybe. I don't know. Well, that was sort of my point. Is like I don't know how to get people on board. Like I'm not a leader of men, clearly, where I can marshal the forces and have a fiery speech where people go, yes, I must run a node. It's the most important thing I can think of to do. But I hope somebody arrives to kind of preach that message. I mean, like I said, right now I got this subset of like baboons that are trying to like fork the thing off, and it's like, what are you doing, dude? Like, why do you not? And they should know better. They should know. They do know. They've said out loud, like, hey, the network layer is fragile. We need to buttress that. And I think they just gave up on it. So they're trying to do their own, like, well, we'll just make our own network that will be better somehow. So I don't know, man. It's a little
yeah,
disappointing, but we'll see.
there's a huge inertia in society to take on any more in your mind, or feel any more change, any more stress, any more anything, because it's kind of like you're all already you've got enough going on. There's enough going on, and so a concept that doesn't fit a paradigm is like, I guess I'll know it when I see it, and they don't see it. But it's like a humanity being like a force of nature, and it's going to do what it does. I don't think change can happen until it's really felt. And then I don't think it's really felt until maybe it's either too late, or it hurts so bad that some people can't recover mentally. I don't know.
Yeah.
There'll be zombies, walking zombies, just like, I'm broken. And well, so here's the door. Walk out the door.
I'm
Well,
broken.
tell me how. Lead me. I
Right.
don't know. It's really hard. There's an inertia. I just sort of think that's just the nature of what it is. It is what it is. It's the reality we have. Bitcoin will be what it is, and that will be quite corporate. But as long as plebs like you and me can still get Bitcoin and take self custody, even if it's like the door's open, folks, but nobody's walking through it. As long as we can, I'm okay.
Yeah, that's my big fear. Like I agree with you, and that's my fear is that we are rushing headlong to a place where self custody of Bitcoin is sort of meaningless. Like if you're gate kept, if you can't use that Bitcoin, then what do you have, right? And if the network layer is compromised, and they can censor transactions and go, well, you need to move from self custody to an exchange so we can track who you are and so we can keep you legible. You go, what? I mean, then you have like this sub market of like Bitcoin that you can trade on the black market for other people, maybe that might be able to launder your Bitcoin so they can use it, but then you're going to take a haircut on it or something. I don't know. I don't know how that works, right?
Mm.
So if the network layer is decentralized and secure, then that can't happen. But the network layer is not decentralized and is not secure, so it is problematic if that becomes OFAC compliant or effectively under corporate control, or they can dictate what software is actually Bitcoin. And with the monetary layer already captured, then that becomes a trivial sort of process to effectuate. And they're kind of angling towards that anyway. So the only thing to do right now is to get people to run nodes, which is sort of the crux of my conundrum. They go, how do I convince people? How does anyone convince people that it's really important to run a node, especially if you live in Argentina or Zimbabwe or something like that? Ooh, what's Three
Hey,
Eye
when does
Atlas?
that? Yeah, maybe. giant meteor, midterm election, vote for the giant meteor. When is that meteor supposed to be getting near us?
I
What,
haven't
it's
heard
still
of this.
coming near? It's still is it putting on the brakes to slow down, or I don't know.
What's Three-Eye Atlas?
That's that
Interstellar
giant,
comet.
isn't that giant meteor? Or something. It's I think it's a spaceship actually.
It's a
It's an
big
alien
comet.
spaceship.
Yeah.
So here's a funny thing I want to read. Hold on, bear with me. I thought this was genius from Ratoshi. He oh my gosh, where did it go? I'm sorry. I've got so he wrote this book, Ratification, and somebody asked a question. Oh, I've got it right here. So the kind of the sci-fi fantasy situation. Okay, so oh dang it, I'll have to get back
How's
to
your
it.
house, man? Are you rebuilt from the fire?
Yeah, Johnny had a successful self-custody situation. So anyway, Bitcoin was secure. But anyway, so the gist of it was that somebody was like, they showed a pretend graph where Bitcoin went from where it is down to like $1 or something, and it was just a giant collapse of price. Like, under what circumstances could this occur? And it was so brilliantly written. If I find it, I'll read it. But he says basically like an alien spaceship pulls up to Earth and just connects with our network and just starts bombarding hash rate and controlling every block, mines every block, and humanity's like, no, stop, this is our money. And the alien spaceship's like silently just discovering all the blocks and just pumping out empty block after empty block after empty block, and everything shuts down. And anyway, it was so funny. But maybe that's what Atlas is. It's going to pull up and then just start mining empty blocks.
Oh, maybe. We'll see. I haven't really even heard about it. Like, I've been so like busy with MicroSeed stuff, I haven't even bothered like spending any time on Twitter looking around. Or I hope they bring some space hookers. That would be like dope, dude. You know,
Blue women
with 3 titties kind of thing. You know,
yeah.
Mars. What was that movie with Arnold?
Mars
No, what was it? Red Planet? No.
Mars Attacks.
No, that was the goofball comedy thing.
Barbarella.
No, the Arnold movie, dude. It's famous.
You
know, where his face like bubbles up.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They made a remake of that too. It wasn't bad.
Really? They remake everything. They're such whores, dude. They'll just remake whatever. Yeah, but I haven't kept up with any of the like stuff. I kind of like anymore. I hop on the Twitter timeline. And I just look around and go, oh God, ugh. And I get kind of burnt out, and then I just wander off and go do something productive. But you know, it's interesting times out there, best I can tell, just from the timeline kind of thing. But when you're not involved in the timeline every day, it seems to have a lot less relevance. You know, like when you're not constantly triggering your dopamine little cycle, it takes on a different character, I've noticed. So I don't know.
Time preference. Yeah. So
Total Recall. Thank you. God.
Total Recall. Jeez, I know.
That was driving me crazy.
Really?
I could not recall Total Recall.
Yeah, totally not. Yeah, so like 21 went public. They got a statue of Satoshi in Wall Street, at least for a while there. I don't know what 21 entirely does. I think Jack Mahler's either can't or won't explain it right now, but it's coming, folks. But not a treasury company, but a Bitcoin holding treasury company. I don't know.
I don't know. Fiat shenanigans. Like that guy just went full fiat, dude. Like he's gone. You know, he took the red pill. He
Well, and
wants
if
to eat
you're gonna,
he's eating a steak right now. He's just like, ah.
I like Mahler's. I he's based and has to run a business, and there is a market, I suppose.
But is he though?
I think at heart he is. There's also he's just realistically integrating with Wall Street. So and
he's
where
so based, he's a Wall Street bro. So
it's like he encourages self custody, and he has great tools to get Bitcoin and also take self custody with pretty ethical rules about how you do that. And they've handled systemic stress well. They continue to function well. I like Strike and I like Mallar's. And apparently, I'm not in this space, but there is a huge market for people that have Bitcoin, don't want to like lose their Bitcoin, but want some credit. And whether that's like, oh, dang, I need a loan because I need to do a thing and I hope I don't get wrecked, to I'm paid in Bitcoin, I spend in Bitcoin, here and there I need fiat. So why don't I use a credit card or fiat for that? But my back end is still Bitcoin. And man, that's another step maxi than I am. I don't know. But I mean, you're locking your Bitcoin up with 21 or Strike or whatever. So
that is a great way to separate you from your Bitcoin. It's called a margin call. And once you get margin called or you get forced liquidated, you lose all your Bitcoin. So that's a terrible idea. I encourage anybody who thinks it's a good idea to rethink that position. But it's like the equivalent would be like taking a loan out on your house, except they could foreclose instantly. And would you ever do that? And I think most people go, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't sound good. Like something could go wrong and I could just lose my house. Yeah. So do you want to take a loan out on it? Nope. I think I prefer the really slow, languid process of losing my house if something happens, not something where it can just be gone the next day via an algorithm that just says, oh, you're under margin, liquidated, goodbye, thanks for playing, and you have no recourse. So so if that's based, I certainly based if you're a Bitcoin maxi and you really don't mind taking Bitcoin from people, like that is super based. Yeah, hell yeah, that is like Machiavellian based. But in terms of like getting plebs off zero and getting people into Bitcoin, I go, it doesn't sounds like a lot more fiat shenanigans to me. If you're ringing the bell on Wall Street, dude, like it's just like I don't care what kind of marketing image he's got going or whatever. I just go, dude, you're ringing a bell on Wall Street, man. Like, regardless of where you started, I can see where you are now, and it's 100% on Wall Street. So but I mean, I think that's true of any good marketer, right? Like people are going to come out and they market themselves to their base, not, like Donald Trump isn't going out there talking about like, hey, we should have purple hair and do, DEI, right? Like he messages very clearly to his base and he keeps them frothing, despite the fact that everything he does in the background may as well be, purple hair and DEI stuff. So it's like, there's like the political reality, the fiat reality, there's the business reality, and then there's the message that, gets people to not hang you. And I mean, like the thing is I'm such an anti-institutionalist, as we've discussed in the past. And the thing is that includes personalities, right? Like there is no personality I look at and go, oh, I trust that guy. I like that guy. I don't like that guy. I just go, well, I'm just going to see what he does. Right. And, if you can look and go, well, I can like someone's personality. Like I liked Obama, right? I thought he was a great orator. He was an interesting person. He was like a friendly guy when he was on TV shows, and he was like, yeah, he seems like a kind of cool guy just to hang out with. And he does.
Well, it was a breath of fresh things. It was a breath of fresh air compared to the war on terror we had going on. And I saw that as such an op and a theft of the planet. I was like, anything but that. So then I was caught up in a bit of the hope and change thing. And then very quickly it was like, oh, No.
Oh, you're exactly like everybody else, right? I
Yeah.
mean, so it's, but that was the point, is like, I could look at that and I can say on the one hand, like, well, yeah, for his public facing persona, I found it appealing. For the reality of what he did as a human being, I go, not so much,
Hey, you got elected. Here's a Nobel Peace Prize.
Right.
Oh, drone wars
Yeah.
forever.
Drone wars
Okay.
forever, black sites, Guantanamo, all of it, dude. Like, it's just all like continuations of the same old shit. And that's, it's institutional stickiness, but,
And the 2008 bailout stuff,
oh yeah, all of it. I mean, it's just like, one disaster after another. And yet there are still people that want to gobble that guy's nuts and think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I go, well, you're just not really paying attention to what he actually did. You're so immersed in the personality that you can't look past the horrible, horrible shit that guy did. And I fear that the same thing happens with people like, what's his face that used to run Twitter, and Jack Mallers and Saylor, all these people. I go, Elon Musk, it doesn't matter who they are. You kind of look and see what are they doing in the background versus what are they saying publicly. And that I think, you judge a man by his actions, not by his words, not by his appearance, that kind of thing, So,
yeah.
And if you just judge by what they're doing, I go, he's
similar.
like a nice kid to me. Like, when I hear him talk, I go, yeah, Mahler sounds like a pretty interesting young man. He's obviously a very smart young man. And I also see him standing up there with a whole team of people ringing the bell on Wall Street. And I go, well, that does not align with the public facing persona that you're putting on. So never read fine print.
Yep, exactly. He explains it well, but it doesn't jive with my personal Bitcoin ethos or what I would do. But I've sort of like, if you can't beat him, join him. And I think it's kind of like, okay, yeah, we had to make sense. And if we're going to do anything here, to get in bed with Tether, to get in bed with SoftBank, whatnot. And in a way, let me just throw this up here. You've seen this graph where the adoption cycle, and I mean, it feels sort of like we're like in this, perhaps, if this is accurate at all, I'm just saying it's a model, but we're kind of like in this chasm here, the chasm.
Chasm?
And I think what is going to push this curve is going to be things like what 21, Mallers, Saylor are doing. And then with that, all this retail market and really corporate or national investment is going to follow those pipelines in because they're established in trad. And so really, the things like what Mallers are doing, I think, are what are going to be driving the adoption curve. It's not this based retail Bitcoiner thing.
Well, that's problematic, right? Because that is the monetary layer that you're talking about right there, which is already captured. So if it continues, if all the flows are on the captured monetary layer, then the network layer gets compromised almost by default. So, that, I mean, to get a bunch of people invested in Bankcoin is not a noble pursuit as far as I'm concerned. Onboarding a bunch of people to Bankcoin is not the thing that Bitcoin is there for, right? The Bitcoin is there for separation of property from state, not incorporation of property into state, right? And the second that Bitcoin can get gate kept, which all this stuff is leading towards gatekeeping, like 100%, that is problematic for the network. So, if Mahlers and Saylor and everybody can look at the writing on the wall and go, hey, but it's the same writing that, what's his face? What's the guy's name? Dasher, whatever.
Luke Dasher Jr., whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's the same writing he sees, right? He goes, the writing is on the wall. The network layer is about to be compromised, and then Bitcoin is pointless. So they're trying to fork off and make a new network. Saylor and the rest of those guys are just trying to maxi the monetary layer and they don't care about the network layer. And so what we're going to end up with is something that's just like this Frankenstein. It already kind of is, right? But there is still a narrow window of opportunity to make sure that the Bitcoin network layer stays decentralized. And if that can be preserved, then the thing that makes Bitcoin interesting gets preserved. It's not so interesting if you just have a fiat thing that's a fiat controlled thing. It's just one more thing that some Wall Street bro can put on his balance sheet. That's very uninteresting to me. Like, because I can just do that with, I mean, all it gives them is like an unlimited stock option, right? They just go, well, here's a stock play that just kind of goes up forever and I don't have to worry about the CEO. But, you know, but it's completely regulated, it's completely captured, and it's completely under sovereign control. They can change consensus anytime. They can change rules anytime. They can make it OFAC compliant anytime. They can make it so you can only interact via exchanges at any time. And so what is Bitcoin then? It's just a little fiat toy. But the thing that makes it interesting is that you don't have to ask permission to use it. You don't have to ask permission to get it. You don't have to ask permission to sell it. And once those things are gone, then what's left is my question.
Well, if they can't increase the supply, even if on-ramps and off-ramps were completely regulated, say, if they don't, if it's secure, decentralized and secure, whatever decentralized means at that point, it's like in the walled gardens or whatever. Nation states and corporations have it decentralized, not decentralized. But and all the on-ramps and off-ramps are like totally controlled. Well, if nothing else, it's a property that you can sort of hold maybe adjacently, but it holds value. It's not being debased. I mean, yes, we're captured.
For now, but I mean, if the network layer is captured, there's nothing stopping them from raising the limit cap or tinkering with the consensus or any number of things like that. That's sort of the point, is like once that network layer is captured, once it can be gate kept, then if everybody's exposure to Bitcoin is through their broker, if everybody's exposure to Bitcoin is through maulers and Sailor and, you know, central gatekeepers, then what becomes of the network layer becomes just a matter of like, do you accept that, hey, we're going to do a Bitcoin split? What's that mean? You're going to get double the Bitcoin. Oh, okay, cool. Just like a stock split. Yeah, cool. And there will be 5,000 plebs that run nodes that go, no, 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 no. And no one gives a shit because there's, you know, $4 trillion worth of fiat flowing around in the Bitcoin network that BlackRock says is Bitcoin now. And that Bitcoin has 42 million cap because we did a Bitcoin split so they could make more money. And so if the network layer is captured, that can very easily happen. There's literally nothing stopping that. And especially when the block rewards start going down and, you know, they start looking around and going, hey, this thing's been working out pretty good for us. How can we keep milking this cow and keep getting people to buy our little Bitcoin ETFs and whatnot? Oh, well, like we could do a Bitcoin split, or we could do this thing, or we could change this consensus rule. We could make it easier to do this or easier to do that. And there's nobody that can stop them because there's not enough plebs that are running nodes that can say, no, that's not Bitcoin. Sorry. If there's 1 million people running nodes, they can try and push that software change through. And then 1 million people go, nope, then they can't do it. They can't overtake that network. If all they have to do is convince a few exchanges and a few people that run the ETF nodes to go, hey, we're going to implement this new software change. And everyone goes, yeah, okay, cool. So whatever someone sees on their exchange account says Bitcoin, it's got the ticker Bitcoin, and their number stays about the same and then keeps going up and up and up. They don't give a shit about consensus. They don't care about what's under the hood. They just go, hey, is my number in my account still good? Yeah. Do I still get money off of it? Yeah. Okay, good. That's Bitcoin. That's BlackRock says it's Bitcoin. Sailor says it's Bitcoin. Mahler says it's Bitcoin. Must be Bitcoin. And they're not going to hear the 5 or 10,000 plebs that are screaming on Twitter going, this isn't real Bitcoin because they just changed consensus. You know.
Right.
So the preservative against that outcome is for people to run nodes. If people don't run nodes, there's nothing that prevents that outcome. Like nothing. There's zero standing in the way of that outcome from manifesting in 10 years. So it's, you know, like I would love to hang on to the idea like, hey, this is eternal and nothing will ever affect it. And I know the reality of it is there are very smart voices out there, including Luke Dasher and, you know, all these people are aware of these limitations and shortcomings and these marginal effects on the edges, but they can become quite monumental if people don't pay attention. So Like, I think Bitcoin is the greatest invention ever in the history of mankind, 1000%. And I am watching people squander it right in front of me. I just go, oh, well, yeah, but as long as numbers go up and they're more concerned about, paying the electric bill, and that kind of traces back to the revolution conversation. You go, are you on board with this? Do you want to preserve a better future for your children? Yeah, well, you should run a node. If you want to cheerlead, treasury companies and fucking derivative stock traders and all this kind of shit and go, yeah, that's Bitcoin. I go, well, you kind of lost the plot as far as I'm concerned. Not you personally, but just
Yeah, no.
on that shit.
And every time I see core influencers, I mean, not to say core, but like, centralized key influencers all over Bitcoin, but it's constantly price. And it's like, if price is your hill you're fighting, and why not number go up? Yeah, you've lost the plot. It's not about this is the best money, it should be worth more. Why is it not going up? Blah, blah, blah. They're printing the money. When price go up? That's inevitable systemically. The concern is the decentralization and the security of it all. Look at the nodes. Now, hash rate is up, sure. But again, look at the miners. I wonder sometimes, my concern is that when I now guys like Saylor, guys like Mallers, I mean, even a lot of great guys, Samson Mao and others, Jeff Booth even, but they really get a lot about Bitcoin. And down in there, in all of them, I believe they're passionate and believe in Bitcoin and what it represents. But I don't see really any of them speaking to this concern over network decentralization or nodes.
Correct.
And so at one level, I'm like, well, I mean, they know a lot about it. They're all in on this in their own way as well, and they need it to work. And if you trust those ethics, if they were concerned, you'd think their focus would be on nodes and getting nodes out there themselves. So either they're not concerned, or they're like, well, when it does become a concern, we'll step in. But you're not seeing it happening. They're not into the node thing.
Well, I could argue a third point. They are aware of it, and they are just capitalizing on what they can while they can, right? Like, they go, oh, this thing is fragile. It is fragile at the margins. It could be co-opted at any time, but we have a narrative that seems to work, and that's made us rich. So let's keep pushing that narrative, and we'll just ride the pony till it's no longer rideable. They'll beat the horse till it's dead, kind of thing, and then keep beating it. But so I mean, if you kind of look at it from from an objective point of view, you go, what is the likelihood that Saylor is not aware that node centralization is becoming an increasing problem? Zero, I think. Like, there's just zero chance that guy's not aware of that. Just like I think there's zero chance that anybody at BlackRock is sitting around going, hey, this network layer isn't really all that decentralized, right? And people go, oh yeah, we've known that for years. Just like Luke Dasher has said for years, the network layer is not decentralized, and it's very vulnerable right now. And more people need to run nodes. And that's one of the things he's been stressing for better part of a decade. No one's listened to him. So the idea that none of these people is aware of this problem, I think, is functionally zero. If they are, then they're baboons, right? They're literally just parroting a narrative and risking billions of dollars on something that they don't understand at all. Like, they're just going like, oh, whatever. I just believe in my story. So if you take as true that the likelihood that all of those guys that you mentioned are very, very, very well aware of the network fragility, then it seems to me it's much more likely that they are just capitalizing on the thing that they are able to capitalize upon. And whatever that leads to doesn't necessarily translate to a bright orange Bitcoin future where it's completely decentralized. Most people that hold Bitcoin have it in self-custody and manage their own keys, and the network can't be compromised by any sovereign. I don't see how those two paths can be compatible, because of the very fact that they are not spending every waking second talking about the problem of node centralization.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes me question what's going on there, or that I have to have, not that I like to trust a third party, but I have to have faith that if it became more obviously a concern or a problem, they would shift their narrative and be talking about nodes. It's just that when I don't hear it, I'm like, why don't they already? I don't know. I don't understand.
Because they know better. Like there's a reason why a lot of those OGs become shitcoiners, because they can survey the landscape and go, yeah, this thing isn't really working the way we thought it was. Yeah, but Ethereum's kind of interesting. So there's like the monetary maxi like narrative kind of thing that just doesn't really withstand scrutiny very well. But that said, that doesn't negate Bitcoin's miraculous properties, right? Like at the end of all of this, it's incumbent upon the people that use Bitcoin to take Bitcoin seriously, right? And if you just sit back and let powerful people manipulate opinions about Bitcoin until they can capture, corral, and then profit off of it, then it's kind of like that old saying, you get the government you deserve. We get the Bitcoin we deserve at that point, right? And if the Bitcoin we deserve, if the best we deserve is having some little fiat Ponzi toy that, bankers and Wall Street bros can just tinker with and hold on their balance sheet and fidget with at will, then that's the Bitcoin we deserved. And, and people can have fun staying poor, and they could go, and they'll just never wake up to there was a possible alternate timeline. There was a fork in the road, in the Bitcoin road, where we could have gone towards a prosperous future with a decentralized valuable property, zero trust egalitarian access property, or we could just choose to eat our Cheetos and suck down Hot Pockets and watch Wall Street co-opt Bitcoin and make a bank coin. So, but, and to say that we're not on that precipice, I think would be just like ignoring the landscape. So I don't know, man. Like there's a reason I keep pumping the node thing. And if I find some effective way to convince people to run nodes, I sure hope I stumble across it soon, because I haven't located anything yet. Most people don't even understand what a node is, let alone what sort of nudge effect. I'll put a thing out the other day where it said like a Bitcoin node is like a vote. One doesn't really matter, but a million might. And some guy put some little, reply like he was shaking his head, like, I don't get it or something. I'm like, dude, you don't get it. That's the problem, is you got this arrogant attitude of like, oh, I understand Bitcoin better than you, and nodes are this and nodes are that, but none of it is correct, right? The power of the node is a nudge effect on network decentralization. That's it. Like you being able to validate your own transaction, whatever. The point is if you have 1 million nodes, 5 million nodes, 10 million nodes, you can't force a software change through without 5 million people getting on board, and most won't. So that's the thing that protects the network. Not just, well, I validate my own transactions on my own bank. Like that's a nonsense narrative. The nudge effect of software choice is primacy, is the prime mover in network decentralization. Can some outside entity come and co-opt that network via consensus change? If the answer is yes, then you don't have a Bitcoin network anymore. You don't have a decentralized network. If the answer is no, then everything that makes Bitcoin magical is still there. So that's what I'm getting at. So maybe this little tirade here to Johnny and however many people are watching will be the catalyst for people to go out and actually fire up a freaking node and make a difference to the network and join the revolution. I don't harbor a lot of hope for that, but I will remain optimistic until I'm proven wrong.
Yeah, and what does project the attitude from the sovereign about this stuff, and about money and property and sovereignty generally, is what you see with Samurai and Keon has been on like tons of podcasts lately, all around, and there's been that petition. I guess about 5,000 plus people have signed this petition. Trump, pardon him. This is bullshit and all that. Electronic money transmitter. And symbolic as it may be, I hate to say, I really would wish Trump could step in and get it. I'm worried. I don't think Trump gets it. I think he'll go where the money goes, and this just isn't money to him. And
No.
so, unfortunately, I hate to say it. I don't want to think doomer. I don't see Trump pardoning them. I'd like him to. I'd love to see it, but he won't. And the way they got hammered and made an example of speaks to the attitude that a system has about true freedom tech. So for them, yes, they can tolerate Bitcoin perhaps as it's on this direction of, oh, we can still kind of manage this or get in on it, but whatever, play their games still. But when it comes to true freedom and sovereignty, that's a no-go. Like, nope, absolutely not.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, the samurai guys pled guilty, so that's sort of problematic. You know, like I mean, who knows? And you know, that whole case was sort of, I mean, there's like, you know, it's kind of like the same thing that happened with Ross Ulbricht. It's like if you're
Yeah.
thumbing your nose at the state, you risk incurring the wrath of the state, right? So I hope they get pardoned too. I don't hold out much hope for it. Like I don't, you know, it's not an election year for Trump. He doesn't give a shit. And like just because he made good on an election year promise with Ross doesn't necessarily mean he's going to just keep pardoning every guy that comes along and does something the state doesn't like,
Right.
while thumbing their nose to the state. You know, like those guys would be free right now if they had remained anonymous and they didn't try and capitalize on what they were doing.
Yeah.
Right?
What would Satoshi do?
Yeah, well, Satoshi wouldn't have like gone out there and tried to make a profit off of telling, you know, literally flipping off the state, going, "Hey, come launder your money here. How come these drug dealers aren't using our laundering service?" And you know, and it's like if you're gonna parade around like that and then act surprised when the state takes offense, you go, "Well, you're just not being an adult right at that point, right?" So I don't know, man. Like, well, like I said, I what they did at the core is they wrote some software that preserves privacy, right? And there's certainly nothing wrong with that. What they got convicted of, though, is a very different kind of matter, right? So, and whether or not you want to say that strains credulity, or if you want to go, well, that's fair or not fair, it's just or unjust, or blah, 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 blah. Those are all sort of like second order questions, you know?
Yeah. For what it was, you know, the judge got switched. And then even after them, I think trying to work with the court, they got hammered. And it was like,
Well, the
wow.
judge brought up I mean, the guy wrote a letter to the judge that didn't take full accountability. And that's just like anybody with half a brain in their head that's ever dealt with a judge goes, look, if you're not going to take accountability, just keep your mouth shut, right? They probably got hammered worse because they tried to talk their way out. They keep hanging on to like trying to talk their way out of whatever it is they did, right? So, and you know, unless you're going to own up to something like in the way that this sort of fawning over the court, like if you're not going to do that, you know, it's like, what's his face? Larry, who's the guy that ran Hustler magazine and got up in court and told the judge,
yeah.
you know, he said, hey, like pot grows in the fields. It's a natural plant, blah, 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 blah. You shouldn't be regulating, you know, like made some sort of very logical stance about why pot should be legal. And then he got the book thrown at him for his efforts. Right. And that's, you know, people have been standing in front of judges arguing the absurdity of laws for 200 years, and judges are very, very kind and more than happy to throw a book at you when they don't like the tone of your argument. You know, when they say, hey, all of your trappings are false, you're a moron, you shouldn't be enforcing this. And the judge goes, well, that's my job, and here you go, have a hammer on your head. So you know, it's
well, and they made a movie, the People versus Larry Flint.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson. Anyway, my memory of that at the time was that it was I mean, Larry Flint makes kind of a weird, morbid hero type, but it's kind of like the eccentric goofball who, hey, likes women, whatnot, and willing to make a buck. But anyway, what I got out of the movie was sort of like this celebration of freedom of speech, where he won on freedom of speech stuff. And so I'm imagining today that same case coming up, and it's like maybe it's gotten worse. I see him getting hammered. No, you can't do that. You don't have free speech. We're banning it in the UK. We're banning it in Australia. We're banning it because we know it when we see it. Well, what is that? Well, we know it when we see it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't understand. Well, we'll tell you.
Yeah.
We'll tell you after the fact, but you'll find out.
Yeah,
That's
the
where
hard
we're
way.
at now on free speech. So,
Well, most of those countries have like in principle free speech. We have like we have a in document free speech, right? So that's why it's a little steeper climb to ban speech here in the U.S. But they're doing a pretty good job of it for the last 40 or 50 years.
yeah.
They just did it the backdoor HR route, right? So
People,
I don't know, man.
Human resources now called people, whatever, people services.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like, I'm glad TikTok next block. I'm glad, the price is holding steady. But run a node. If you
Run
care
a
about
node.
Bitcoin, run a node. Don't, the rest of this stuff is nonsense, man. It's all just a waste of time. It's wasting and squandering the most valuable asset that's ever been created by mankind. So don't let that happen. Run a node, please. It's important.
If we don't have enough nodes and hash rate, I found that funny thing. We can wrap this up with if you'll indulge me, I'll try not to belabor this, but this was what I found so funny, is that how does this graphic occur? It goes from $90,000 down to $3. How would this under what scenario would this happen? And Ratoshi wrote, says alien spaceships appeared in orbit. For hours we tried to communicate. Nothing. We debated what to do next. People in Bitcoin space noted at first, but few paid attention. Every Bitcoin block mined since arrived took not 10 minutes, but less than 1 second. Every block was empty. After 2014 blocks, we believed the difficulty adjustment would save us, but that was capped at 4x. And the aliens simply adjusted. More empty blocks. We tried everything. Block their nodes, proposed forks, roll back the chain, but nothing worked. Only proof of work was the truth, and they had usurped the truth. Anyway, I just found that hilarious, but I'm a total nerd, so sci-fi story in the future. So
maybe. I don't think a spacefaring alien civilization would need to worry about Bitcoin. It's just sort of if you've conquered space-time travel, Bitcoin is a trivial barrier at that point.
They don't have money. They exist in energy, and energy is free. So do what you will.
Yeah.
And you can't get there unless you get along. Okay.
Well, there's the doom and gloom hour for you. You run a node.
Sun shining out there, folks.
It really is. It's a beautiful day here. It's nice and mild. About 60 degrees outside. I got to go pack a bunch of microseeds up. We only got a few left in inventory. So.
Well, hey, good. Hey, on that note, I keep forgetting. Let me play a little reel from our sponsor. MicroSeed is the best way to take self-custody. One single MicroSeed kit allows you to stamp as many seed phrases as you want. And you can fit all 12 or 24 words on one single washer. Get the kit and crank out all the keys you'll ever need forever. You can also go to microseed.io to get any extra washers you need, including stainless steel, nylon, or even titanium washers. Get there today and get yourself squared away. Yay!
All righty.
Yep, MicroSeed.
Brilliant.
MicroSeed still works too.
Oh yeah, that's a nice piece of hardware in the meat space.
Yeah, beautiful design, elegantly crafted. It's like a piece of art. It alone it wouldn't be an ad. It would be simply an art piece in Bitcoin Art Magazine.
Yeah, maybe the next issue of the Bitcoin Art Magazine. Did you order one yet?
Bitcoin Art not magazine? The magazine. No, it looks beautiful. But.
It's going to be amazing, dude. They have limited editions. Here's my little shout out to Bitcoin Magazine, Bitcoin Art Magazine. You should go check that out if you're watching this. It's going to be epic, man. Some of the biggest artists in Bitcoin and the Bitcoin space are all featured in that one magazine. And I've had the opportunity to see a lot of these artists in person and see their work in person. It's phenomenal. These are really incredible artists, and it's a neat little collection that Ashinoa has put together there. So I encourage you to go and explore the Bitcoin arts, because they're some really, really talented people. So yeah, definitely worth getting. And they got like limited editions for sale. I got myself one of the limited to 210 copies or something like that. So Pretty
Awesome.
excited to get that gold foil cover and all this kind of neat stuff. And I'll have something to put on my new set whenever that's finally done. Have that in the background. Yeah, those guys. It's going to be awesome.
And it's quarterly. Is this is their first edition? Is that it?
Yeah, that's their Genesis edition. And but if you go to the shop page, they have some like limited editions that you can get that will sort of lock you in as one of the earlies. Yeah, I think I got the gold foil cover, maybe, or maybe no. I think I got the hardcover actually.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but they've already got the patrons are already sold out. So yeah, some awesome stuff, man.
Yeah. No, high quality made glossy pictures. I think it'd be cool. So cool. Well, not doomer. I know time will tell and we'll just see. I know TradFi is going to TradFi. I do feel hope and I feel good. And
You feel some hope and change?
I feel hope and change and bullishness, even as I can slay the masters. You may worship a Buddha and then down the road, you got to slay the Buddha and move forward. So it's a process.
Yeah, always a process.
All right, cool. Thanks all joining us. We'll do it again next week.
Run a node.
Yeah, run a node.